Hi there. Welcome to Conscious Creator Podcast. I'm Caroline Cerrone, and here we talk to artists that are using their artwork very intentionally to make the world a better place. So today I'm talking to Zhaklina, and she is an incredible singer-songwriter. She's also the person spearheading the mental health songwriter nights here in Nashville. And I got the pleasure of meeting her during the writers' rounds here in Nashville, and immediately resonated with her spirit and her empowering advocacy. So thank you so much for talking to us today about what you do and what you're creating.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the mental health songwriter nights and stuff. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me perform on one of them like a month ago now. I loved it, and it is the spirit of community and healing that it brings, I think, is fantastic and exactly what Nashville needs right now. So yeah, thank you so much for creating that. And can you tell us a little bit about when and where we can find it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so the mental health nights are held every second Wednesday of the month. They're at the Copper Branch in Nashville, right next to the downtown Nashville Library. Basically, the concept around it is it's set up like a songwriters night, which if you've never been to Nashville and seen our songwriters nights and rounds that we have out here, typically we have multiple artists that come out and they each take turns playing music. Sometimes it's set up in a round style where like 3 or 4 artists will take up about an hour of time and rotate playing music. So they'll each play a song for one round and then play another round of songs for about an hour. This specific night, I'll have about 6 artists playing, and each one gets a 30-minute set. And I do that intentionally because I want the artists to share like an experience through their performance, and I feel like that's best shared when people have a little bit more time, because there's a lot of stories around like the music that they're creating. And so that's a big part of like these mental health nights is these artists' stories when they're coming out, like sharing the stories behind their music, the kind of impact that it's had on them. I just think that's so important. And I just feel like each artist has like a really cool experience to share and to offer. And when you have like a whole 30 minutes to do that, you get to do that, I think, in like a better way.
Well, it's like a topic that really deserves, respect. Mental health. It's like in the last couple years, this issue of like mental health struggle has really been highlighted by a lot of what's going on in our world, and everyone is dealing with some sort of personal mental health battle. So there's also so much stigma and shame, associated with mental health, where creating a platform for us to speak openly and, connect over our shared experience, because we're not alone,
Yeah.
It's like, it's so great and it's so needed. So,
Yeah. So like each artist comes out and gets to speak on their perspective of mental health, share stories. Like there's been so many vulnerable moments, which I've felt so honored to witness and get to share in. And it's really developing this community out here of mental health, which I love.
Yeah, I love it. I think you told me that someone stumbled upon your nights really organically.
Yeah.
And that they were like a war veteran, and that they had came out and said, like, I really needed this tonight. I'm here because I need to be here, and thank you for putting this together.
Yeah. So it's really drawing people in and becoming bigger than like I initially thought it was going to be. Like I just remember when I first started hosting them, like I was nervous because I was like, well, I don't know how many people are going to want to be a part of this.
Right. And that you donate proceeds from each night to a different charity every night, right? A mental health charity. That is so amazing and so great, because beyond the scope of that evening, the number of people that you help, you don't even know how it's going to affect people afterwards with those funds. And it was so cool to witness it and to get to see how the artists that would perform, it was so healing to them. I know it was to me, to be able to speak my truth and my own story about mental health. And so amazing as an audience member to see, like, you just don't get the same experience when you hear people perform on a normal basis. The songs have so much more power and impact when the singer is given a platform to speak about it as well. It totally changed the experience. Like, some of the stories were like tearjerkers of what these like artists had to say, of like how raw and personal they were willing to be. And then how it painted such a beautiful picture when they were performing. Like, oh my gosh, like, it changed the whole experience.
Yeah, definitely. And like you touched on earlier, like, it just really opens up the space for people to feel like they're not alone in whatever they're going through, and really like work through any kinds of stigmas and things like that they have attached to mental health. So it's been really cool to like see how it's already been doing so much for the people that have come out to it. But then, we do.
Right, like, it's so young. You've only been doing it a couple months.
Yeah.
And you're just like booking them out for like the rest of the summer. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's already booked out into September, which is really
everyone
exciting.
wants to be a part of it. People out of state, you said, right?
Yeah.
That's so
I had someone reach out to me from out of state that really wants to be a part of it, and I actually even had someone come in from Indiana recently, and that was really cool. It's like really like growing into something that I'm just excited and honored to be a part of and witness. But each month we pick an organization that is associated with mental health to donate to. So while we are having artists play their original music that has some kind of personal meaning for them that has to do with mental health, we're also advocating for and sponsoring a specific organization those nights and raising awareness about those organizations as resources, so that the people that come out know that there is help available. And I think that that's like part of it, is just spreading the awareness through these nights, because, there's a lot of people that will come to these shows that didn't realize that there was help out there, and they don't know where to go for help, and they have all these questions. And so being able to kind of shine the light on some of those, provide some answers, provide some resources, I think is really cool.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to heal anybody, but
having gotten to know you like a little bit now, you could be one. You're like, you've learned so much, and you're a person that's like done so much work on themselves and really just studied a lot of different sources and implemented them. Like, it's really great to have you as a leader on this, because you really get it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Oh no, it's like,
to
thank
hear.
you for doing this, because like I'm one of those people that's like benefiting from this platform that you're providing for us to speak and share our stories. And it's so cool. Now you're here on the podcast to, help spread that a little more,
Yeah, and I love what you're doing, and this is like one of those like beautiful things about like when I like embarked on this journey. I was so nervous about it at first and had all these what ifs and like felt like it was just this small thing, and it's just like when I just like kind of like worked through those fears and worked through all of that, like it's like expanding and connecting me to other people who are like really passionate about it too. And like
I kind of heard you like say through talking to you before that, like when you first came to Nashville, you were looking to build a sense of community. I definitely felt the same way. That was one of my number one intentions about moving out here, is because Nashville is a big little town, and it's growing. So you can really get that community feeling from it potentially. But there's so many people moving here, and you're the first of your kind, making a mental health songwriter night out here in Nashville for sure.
Yeah,
So,
it's a new thing.
You're kind of a person that even though the community didn't exist before, you had to be the person to be like, okay, well, I guess I got to do it,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's scary being like the first one to do
Yeah.
something like this, but it's so needed, and like it's one of those things that I didn't even realize how many mental health advocates are out here, especially like artists that are also mental health advocates, because at most of the shows that I perform at, it's like I always feel like I am one of the only ones that like talks about mental health even. And so I feel like it's so cool to see like, wow, like there are other people that like, not only care about mental health, but are also like advocating for it and like raising awareness for it. So like, yeah, like I kind of ripped that Band-Aid off, and like, I'm so glad I did, because it's helping me grow as a person.
Absolutely. And helping others to grow too.
Yeah, and that's such an honor to be a part of and like experience. And so like I'm hopeful that like this is just going to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
I don't want to like, I don't know. I think initially I had put a lot of different expectations on it, and now like I still have my core vision and my core goals.
It's taken a life of its own, and like you could never envision, It's so beautiful and inspiring.
So I'm just kind of like letting it go and moving forward and opening those doors that are opening, and like.
Yeah, what are some of like the plans for the future as you've seen this grow, any thoughts about expansion or making it more regular?
Yeah, so I am definitely looking to have even more nights in Nashville, but I'm also looking into bringing the mental health nights to other states as well. Mm-hmm. So I am like currently in the process of connecting with people in other states and trying to find the right spaces to have these mental health nights, and connecting with other artists who'd be interested in other states too, because I just think it'd be really cool to be like,
absolutely,
raising this awareness and also just providing this kind of experience in other areas as well. Like, as far as it can go, I'm willing to go with it. Like, I just want to see it bloom and grow.
Well, you're someone that like is so passionate about this, and I always love hear you talk about it. What is some of the inspiration? Like, what was the catalyst for putting this all together?
Yeah. So I've been wanting to do like a mental health night. Initially, it was going to be this one event, really big event, since 2018, which was around the time I had decided I was going to advocate for mental health through my music. Mm-hmm. And since then, like, and doing all these really cool kinds of shows out here in Nashville, I kept trying to like make the event happen, and every time I was really close to making it happen, the door closed in some way, or it wasn't the right fit. And this kind of came to me, this idea of having like mental health nights, multiple, like versus like just this one event. I'm also a nanny, and I happened to be at the downtown library, and I was getting a chai latte from Copper Branch, and I saw that they had a stage, and I just asked, do you guys have shows here? And they were like, yeah, we're actually looking to like book some more. And I was like, wait, that's really cool. I'm an artist. And, initially I was like, I could just come out and play here and there. But then I was like, wait. So I had this idea and like I talked to the owner about it, and the owner is also a vet. And he was like he's very passionate about mental health. And he was like, I am so for this, and I would love it if you had this event at our place. Like, super about it. The first night, like, he made a huge contribution to the organization.
That's so awesome.
And like, yeah, he's been great. The manager there, like, they're just such a cool company. But like, just the way it happened, it was very like, is synchronistic a word? Like, I think of synchronicity and just like it
totally.
just came together. So I don't know if synchronistic is the word for that.
I think it's perfect. It's just everything aligned, and it's been something that you've wanted for a long time, would try, and it just never worked out until all of a sudden, no effort, it just happens. That's
and hosting these nights come with their own like little obstacles here and there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But most of it is just my own fears of like, what if this doesn't work? Because most of it, like, it does work as long as I'm willing to like find a way.
Right.
And that's been cool to experience, like on a personal level.
I think that's so cool for listeners too, because like everyone can relate to the struggle of really just trying to make things work, and it's just a reminder to keep faith that there will be a right timing. Just like keep your dreams, close to your heart, and when the timing's right, it does happen.
Yeah, like sometimes it really is just timing. Like I have to remind myself when I feel like rejected or like something's not working. It's just like, okay, like I'm just not going to focus that hard on it, and it's like I'm not going to lose sight of it. I'm not going to give up, but I'm going to like focus on other areas and just like wait for the timing and try again when I feel like I have energy for it, or when the opportunity presents itself.
And I think that I like that saying, like, it's a breakdown for a breakthrough. Like when things don't work out for you, like trying to make it a mental health awareness night, the greater cosmic vision perhaps was that like that was thinking too small. It had to be a series in order for it to work, because there was so much demand for it. You were the perfect person for it, And
it's been cool and affirming, like every night, to have people say like, I'm so glad you're putting these on. It's so needed. It's like I just keep hearing like, this is so needed. This is so needed. I'm so grateful for this. And I'm like, that's one of the things that like when I went into doing this, I didn't expect to hear. Like I don't know. I just thought about like doing it and hoping that it helps people. I didn't expect to be thanked for it. So that's been really humbling. And like,
that's so fulfilling though, because it's like, I know that you don't do it for like egotistical reasons. You can't do this kind of like effort, like love and labor put into it to make it happen. Like it has to really come from an authentic place.
Yeah, but like there's a part of me that's like, what are you thanking me for? Like, it's like I don't. You don't have to say thank you for being a part of it. Like I'm like, thank you. It's my project. This. Like this is cool that you're a part of it. I'm just.
It's such a service to the people,
And that like even hearing that, I'm like, that's cool. Like it's really cool. But like I just am like, it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for like other people who also like felt strongly about it.
Absolutely.
So it's like I am like honored to be like spearheading it, but I'm also so like I just feel so honored to be a part of it with other people, because it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for other people being drawn to it and passionate about it too. Yeah. Because it takes a village. It takes like multiple people to build a community, and that's really what it's about. So like,
and it does sound like you've put energy into it and that it's creating a life of its own, and that's really amazing to see. Like people are wanting more of it, and that they're asking you, you're not reaching out to other, like everyone wants to get in on it.
Yeah.
So that is a nice load off to not be the person carrying the burden of doing all this work. Like it's self, it's just, it's maintaining itself.
Yeah.
I
have to stay organized and make sure I don't double book people. But yes, like it's like I had like a slot that I had to fill for one night, because I was like, oh, we only have one slot. And like, of course, that fear, it's just the same fear. It came up, and it's like, well, what if I don't? What if this is like where my luck has run out or whatever?
Right.
And then like literally like the next day, like someone was like, hey, I'd love to be a part of this. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, it's just like amazing that it's happening so naturally. Like, and so that's been really encouraging for me too, because it's helping me kind of just continue to move forward and push through it. It makes it even more worth it when I see that like other people really benefit from it.
Yes.
Because I think like if it wasn't working and other people weren't benefiting from it, it would be harder for me to continue moving forward in this way. And I feel like I'd have to like reevaluate or whatever. But like, it is just taking a life of its own and like really growing. And I'm happy about it.
Yeah, it's so cool that like through your advocacy, it's inspired so many other advocates to show up and join forces, and their stories are so powerful,
Yeah.
you know, and so is yours. And I we're gonna take a little break, but when we get back, I'm going to play a little clip of her music video, and you'll get to check it out. We're going to talk a little bit about your artistry and how your advocacy is a big part of who you are as an artist and what you create. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Are you tired? Are you tired? Are you tired? Gossip queen. Gossip queen. You're so pretty when you love, aren't you tired of being where now? Gossip
All right, and we are back on the Conscious Creator podcast. I've been talking to Zhaklina about her different advocacy efforts, and just wanted to get a bit into you as a songwriter and stuff. I hope that our audiences, if you've been tuning in via YouTube, that you enjoyed this clip of Gossip Queen, a gorgeous music video and a wonderful song. You know, you can definitely check out this podcast on all listening platforms, but the visuals are so cool. Definitely check it out on YouTube. So I want to talk to you, first of all, about your sound. You know, to me, you sound like powerhouse vocals of Lady Gaga. And then some of like the alternative tones of the Cranberries and edginess of Evanescence, you know. And you also sound like you have a very trained voice. So I think all of those references are kind of a reflection of that quality that you have as well. Like tell me a little bit about how you got into music and how you stumbled across this genre that you're kind of innovating. You're hard to pin down, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I've been singing my whole life since I was little. And I mean, the hardest thing for me to kind of figure out for myself was what my genre would be as an artist, because...
Right, and there's like some songs where I hear like there's some rap.
Yeah.
There's like... I
don't rap, but that
right. You're like doing a duo with someone, and like there's R&B elements in some, and there's blues elements. There's pop. There's rock. Ton of rock.
Oh yeah, that's my fave. But so like I grew up. Initially, my biggest like role model for music was Celine Dion. I was like 5 years old, belting out to "My Heart Will Go On."
I could hear
for
that.
real,
Yeah.
and like trying to hit those notes, and like probably killing my neighbor's ears because I lived in an apartment building. But it was cool. I definitely annoyed my sister. But you know, I grew up listening to pop, rock, hip hop, like just everything. And like I loved something about all those genres. I did fall deeply in love with Evanescence.
Okay, I figured.
In middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, and I still love them. I just went to a show in December and it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. And they had Hailstorm there and I was just epic.
So good.
Yeah, it was so good. So like I definitely used to like practice singing to a lot of Amy Lee's vocals, and she's like operatically trained. So I also like was in choirs and like a cappella groups and chamber choir and like musical theater and all these things. And so like I did have a lot of training from like middle school, high school, and college. And I started writing music when I was 11. I was gifted a songwriting journal from my aunt because she saw that I really loved to sing and that I also loved poetry and writing, but I never like put all of that together as a song. And so she gave me my first like journal and I started writing, but I never really thought like, oh, I'm going to like do something with this, because for a long time I thought like go to college, be something that's going to make a lot of money, do music for fun, because it's hard to like really pursue music. And it is hard. I'm not going to lie. Like it's not an easy thing to be pursuing on a professional level. But my outlook,
especially when you're doing your own thing, you know, it's like you're putting together your own music videos. Like I know that you work with producers, but it sounds like a lot of your creative ideas really do come from you,
yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So when you're doing it all and you're the one doing the booking and management, that's many full-time jobs.
Oh yeah, it's so much. There's so much energy and time and effort that goes into being an artist, especially nowadays as an independent artist. You really like have to be kind of good at everything, the marketing, the promo, all of it. But I really had to like, I don't know, grow in like believing in myself, and that happened.
Which is so cool because your vocals, like, they are powerful. And, like, you do have such an energy to your delivery, like with Gossip Queen. Like, there's such a bite to the delivery. And it makes sense coming from your background of advocacy and, like, your beliefs in fighting for things.
Yeah.
It translates musically. You can feel that energy with just the delivery, but then also the messages behind what you write about, too.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual yearning. And, like,
Yes.
I remember my choir director in high school, like when I would sing, like he would tell me like, oh, you just got that like soulful yearning in your voice. And like he always told me to like hone in on that and never lose it. And I still remember
it's
it.
Authenticity. And there's something, even great voices, great trained voices can't capture that like intangible quality that just, it's the human experience. It's soul, It's,
yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I was inspired by a lot of different genres and a lot of different artists, but I landed in alternative pop because, like, with alternative, I just think that that's a pretty big scope. So it gives me the freedom to be flexible with my genre, which I really appreciate because I need that. Because I always tell people that like there's times when like I write the song and it comes out the way I thought it would in my head. And then there's times when the song tells me how it needs to be written. And sometimes that means that it comes out a little more rock or a little more pop or a little just more like stripped down and indie, or I don't know, like that just can have various aspects to it. So I just don't want to like put myself in a box. And I just feel like the alternative like genre is the place to be able to not be in a specific box. And then I do pop because I do a lot of ballads and like a lot of like my songwriting is like in a pop style. So I feel like it kind of suits that from the writing perspective. So yeah, it took me a long time to get there because I'm an Enneagram 4.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, 4s.
Yeah. And I don't like being in a box. I don't, and I want to feel like I can grow and I was like, I listen to a lot of artists. Like every Friday, new music comes out on Apple, and I'm always exploring the new music and artists that I hadn't listened to.
It's great to always be growing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I learned so much just by listening to other artists. And then like, a few years ago, I was like, wow, like all these artists, like when you look at the genre that they release their music under, it's not always the same. So someone could release like an EP under pop, 1 year, and then next year they're releasing another EP under rock. And I'm like, whoa, wait, I can do that? Great. So it's like, although I've landed in this like genre of alternative pop, I'm also like, I can change when I want.
Yeah,
when
it
I
is
feel
nice
like
to
it.
have that freedom. Yeah.
So that's been really cool. And then I've always been like really in tune with my intuition, and like I'm a really intentional person. That's another thing about the Enneagram.
Yeah, that's
4.
why you're here. That's
So-
why we're talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my mental health journey has been really important to me because it's allowed me to become confident in my intuition and like really like believing in my perspective of things, because I have a history of a lot of psychological abuse. I, have struggled with codependency. I do struggle with complex PTSD. And there's just so much, I'm unraveling even more and more every time I go to therapy, but even on my own as I learn more and grow more.
And the healing component that music plays of like, that's its own act of therapy, like speaking your truth and having a creative outlet
Yeah.
to take pain and turn it into something beautiful. Like, I relate to that so hard because that's been its function for me too.
Yeah, and it is. It's such a therapeutic process. And I really wanted to like be like a healing force in the music industry. So I'm really thoughtful about how I go about doing things in my life, especially something as like important as my music. So it took me some time to really figure out like, okay, how do I want to go about this? What kind of music do I want to write? Because I love writing all kinds of music. I co-write a lot of different things, and I featured on different kinds of music. But when it comes to like my stuff that I'm releasing under my name,
Right.
I do want to make sure that it's like meaningful, because that matters a lot to me. And it's not in the sense of like I have to always feel this way for the rest of my life. I just want to be able to look back and say I did feel that way at that point in my life, and it meant something to me. And I know that like that came out because it had to connect with someone else, at that time, and whoever needs it, because we're always growing, we're always evolving. It's a very fluid experience, humanity. So I just think like, being intentional has been important to me. And like, I decided I wanted to advocate for mental health through my music because it's been such a healing component in my life. I really feel passionate about it being a healing component in other people's lives. And I think part of it is just like normalizing it. And I think when you normalize seeking mental health the way you would to go to the doctor or to a dentist or get, check your eyes, whatever it is, it kind of starts to like decompose the stigmas that we have attached to it, because I think a lot of people like are just scared to take that step because they're afraid that it means something really negative or whatever. And like I just think that like everybody and anybody could really benefit from it.
Totally.
And so like I just, part of my mission with, not just the mental health nights, but also like my artistry is to just remind people that they're not alone. And I just feel like music does that like better than anything else, because music reaches people everywhere and anywhere. Like I think of like someone really, really lonely in their car, it reaches them there. I think of someone really lonely in their bathroom, in their room, in a closet, like it can reach them there, or it can reach them, on a stage. It's just like it can reach you wherever you're at. And like that resonates deeply with me because on like a personal note, like I do believe in God, and I'm really spiritual and all of that. And so like I do feel like it's so important, like as a person, to remind other people that they're not alone.
Interconnection. It creates the feeling of connection. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, you're not alone. You're loved no matter what.
Yeah. How can you receive love and care and treatment if you're not connected,
Yeah. And it's like in such a I also feel like music is like that love that never judges me. like really truly meets me where
That's
I'm
so
at.
true, yeah.
So like that's another reason why I try to be so like authentic with a lot of my music. I do talk about really hard things in my songwriting, you know, and I always try to keep hope twisted in there because I think it's important to like maintain that focus because the goal is hope, but not in like a superficial way that's like, okay, put all of your worries and concerns like under a carpet, because it's not just like, oh, to get to hope, you have to act like all those other feelings don't matter. It's like, no, you can experience hope while you're experiencing all these other feelings. Like it all
So true.
works together. You can experience all of it like together, and they all matter. Like all of your emotions, sadness, anger, like even disgust, like they're all trying to communicate. It's like your spirit's trying to communicate something to you. And I think, you know, the more we like realize that, the less afraid we are of our own emotions as well as other people's emotions. And so like, anyway, I'm starting to go on a tangent.
I'm super excited. What you're saying leads perfectly into our next topic. I'm super excited for your upcoming project.
Oh, yeah.
And it is called 17 Reasons?
Yeah, so 17 Reasons Why is a series of EPs that I began releasing. The first one came out in 2019. And then the second one came out 2020. And I've released like a single off of the one from 2020. That was Gossip Queen. And I did release a single off of this third one that's coming out later on this year. That was Tattooed Roses, which I released last summer. But 17 Reasons Why is basically like, if you've seen the movie or the series 13 Reasons Why on Netflix,
which was great, yeah. And
So
it
good.
touches a lot of the topics that you're advocating on and spreading awareness and writing about. So
yeah. So it's like, you know, when I watched that movie, I was just so, I mean, I was going through a major like breakup and also like moving to Tennessee and just going through a lot of life changes. So I was just like in a really open space with my heart, just ready for like the next thing with my life. And while I was watching, like, and how I grieve is like watching sad things because like I need to like get out the sad. I need to get it all out.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was staying with my sister for like a week, and like I just kept watching 13 Reasons Why, and she was just like, "You're so weird. Like, why are you?" Like, she's just like, "Don't you want to just like go out and have fun?" And I'm just like, I mean, we can do that here and there, but this is helping me get it out. I need to get it out. What up? Like, and then, but I watched it and like, oh man, I cried so much. But at the end of it, I was just like, it makes me so sad, like that this person was like, had all these reasons for why they took their life. And it's like someone takes their life because they feel like they don't belong, because they feel like they don't matter, like all these like messages. And so I'm just like, I really want to like inspire people, like take those same emotions that you're feeling, because it's not the emotions that are wrong. You know, your sadness is valid. Your anxiety is valid. Like those are your feelings, and there's a reason you're feeling them. It's how we're handling them. It's what we're doing about them. And who we're talking to about them too, honestly. Like that's huge, because if you talk to the wrong person about your feelings, like that definitely can impact you. But I think that when we normalize like our process as human beings, emotional beings, we can like really listen to the messages that our emotions are telling us, and we see, wait, there's reasons, like we belong. And this is just trying to remind me about what I need to feel fulfilled and to feel like I matter and all these things. And I just really wanted to write music about that. And so I decided like, okay, I really like the number 17. That has spiritual significance for me. It's always meant that you are where you're supposed to be.
Right. It's another synchronistic thing. Yeah.
So I flipped the messages of 13 Reasons Why to 17 Reasons Why, and it's why you belong, why you matter, and why your emotions are valid. And so it's a series of EPs because I wanted to give the whole project time to breathe, because I knew I was going to grow and I wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's like part of the bigger vision of 17 Reasons Why, so that, when I look back on it, I see my process of growth, and I want that process of growth to just be another example of like what it means to be human. And like I know a lot of people are like, oh, like, if a certain song that you put out doesn't really fit your brand anymore or whatever, take it off. And I'm like, no, like it shows your growth. It shows where you came from. It shows where you were at that time. And there's still people that like that song and like want to keep listening to it. Like, don't just take it off because like it doesn't fit you anymore. I mean, do what you want, but like my mission is to show like reality and humanity through my music. And that can be really hard in this industry when we're like, quote unquote, supposed to like be so on with our branding and on with like just the way we're putting things out. And I just feel like that's part of why so many artists have mental health issues, because they're trying to
addiction and mental health issues. Like so many big artists, like commit suicide or overdose, or they blow all their money because that's like, maybe money will make me feel fulfilled, having things, buying things, and it doesn't,
Yeah. Oh yeah, money is not the answer. I mean, it can definitely help, and I don't see that money.
Yeah.
I don't see money as like the root of all evil, but I also don't see it as the answer to all our problems.
Absolutely.
It's just a tool. So like, I don't know, and that kind of helps me too with like music. And what helps me stay grounded.
What's cool about what I hear you saying is like, a lot of people, a lot of musicians, their goal is musically every time they create something to improve the music.
Yeah.
Like that's musically growing. Inherently in what you're doing, practicing, that's happening. But I also see that your goal at the same time, I want to grow as a person.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about that, which you're tapping on, is like, a lot of our culture is very into quick content and things that's like, they put it out, just generating things and putting it out there. And there's no timelessness to it. There's not a lot of depth. But through that active, like, working on yourself, you reach, like, authenticity. And when you tap on that human component, it's timeless. So whatever you create, it doesn't expire. It resonates across generations, across cultures. It's one of the things I love talking to you about.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, like it's just so true because I think a lot of times when we learn something in life, we forget that like there's other people that have to go through a lot of this, like similar lessons. And so like, why not like
share them
and like, and help the ones who like genuinely, come to you for that, ask for that. Like, and if it helps you, wonderful. Like I hope it does, but I want it to like truly authentically help you, not because like you feel like it has to or anything like that. I don't have the answers, but like, and so I just feel, I feel really encouraged and most aligned when I am like in step with this journey. And like, touching on the whole money thing, it's like, I will always find a way to pay my bills. I will always find a way to like, take care of my responsibilities. And yeah, it'd be great if like music helped me get there. Overall, but it doesn't have to. I don't want to ever put that kind of pressure on it because then I think that's how a lot of people give up and stop.
Yeah, or sell out or sell their soul. I, did music full time for a long time, and I did well, and I was very unhappy and not fulfilled, and it killed my love for music. So I think it's beautiful just to love music and love what you do,
Yeah, and just see how far it takes you and be open to the possibilities, and life just has so many ways, especially now and this time that we're living, of like you being able to find ways to like manage your responsibilities and pursue like what you're passionate about. I don't think it has to be black and white. I think it can, be whatever it looks like for your life and whatever that means for you. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're actually recording in a really cute cafe, and they are about to close.
They are.
And it's perfect timing because we're right at like the podcast length. So I would love to share with our audience how can we reach the mental health songwriter nights? How can we find that and contribute or be a part of it?
Yeah. So currently, the Mental Health Songwriter Nights has an Instagram page. So if you go to Mental Health Songwriter Nights on Instagram, you can literally go right there and see everything we've been doing.
Yeah, reach out, donate.
Reach out, donate. I'm putting the organizations that we're donating to, I highlight them for a month in the bio. So even if you didn't donate the night we had a show or come out, it'll be up there for a month. But yeah, and you can also explore the posts. I'm sharing a lot of the artists' performances and different meaningful things and all of that. Yeah.
How can we find your music and
my music?
Yeah.
So I am on all music platforms: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and and I am under my actual name, which is Zhaklina. Zhaklina.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at I am Zhaklina, so IAM and then my name.
Yeah. And Google searching pretty easy. YouTube, all of our stuff comes up right away. So.
Yeah. So I am most active on Instagram. I'm not really on Twitter. Or I have a TikTok that I decide to post on every once in a while. But Instagram is my main hub, and then Facebook. But yeah, I'm constantly releasing some music and
Awesome.
and connecting with other artists and connecting with other creatives, and yeah, I would love to connect with anyone who's interested.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and it's such a pleasure to get to share all of this with so many people that probably what they need to hear.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. See you next time.
Bye.